Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick, follow the yellow brick, follow the yellow brick road. You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Welcome. Today we're going to talk about using the AAC&U value rubrics in assessment. As we follow the yellow brick road today, we will cover the following topics: the AAC&U, the creation of the value rubrics, the essential learning outcomes on which the value rubrics are based, the 16 value rubrics, determining how to use the value rubrics in your work, and how to implement the value rubrics in your work. The AAC&U is the Association of American Colleges and Universities. AAC&U is the leading national association concerned with the quality, vitality, and public standing of undergraduate liberal education. Cornell College is a member of the AAC&U. Its members are committed to extending the advantages of a liberal education to all students, regardless of academic specialization or intended career. Founded in 1915, AAC&U now comprises nearly 1,300 member institutions, including accredited public and private colleges, community colleges, research universities, and comprehensive universities of every type and size. AAC&U organizes its work around four broad goals: LEAP, liberal education as a global necessity; quality, 21st century markers for the value of U.S. degrees; equity, innovation, inclusive excellence, and student success; and social responsibility, integrative liberal learning for the global commons. Through its publications, meetings, public advocacy, and programs, AAC&U provides a powerful voice for liberal education. AAC&U works to reinforce the commitment to liberal education at both the national and the local level and help individual colleges and universities keep the quality of student learning at the core of their work as they evolve to meet new economic and social challenges. With a nearly 100-year history and national stature, AAC&U is an influential catalyst for educational improvement and reform. As part of the VALUE project, which stands for Valid Assessment of Learning in Undergraduate Education, diverse teams of faculty and other academic and student affairs professionals from a wide range of institutions drafted and revised 16 institutional-level rubrics and related materials to correspond with the AAC&U essential learning outcomes. Each value rubric contains the most broadly shared criteria or core characteristics considered to be critical for judging the quality of student work in a particular outcome area. The value rubrics are 16 templates, each of which help evaluators assess the level of competence represented in a collection of exemplary student work, or can be adapted for individual student work. Each rubric addresses 5 to 6 key criteria for a competency, and the evaluator chooses from among the 4 descriptors which level of competence the student's piece of work demonstrates. Ideally, more than one evaluator assesses the piece of work, and the level of mastery is determined by the group. E-portfolios, although not necessary for value use, are one of the most promising approaches to collecting and assessing student competencies over time and to document growth and development and learning. The value rubrics are aligned with the degree qualifications profile competencies for achievement across the associate and baccalaureate levels. The AAC&U devised 4 essential learning outcomes to help prepare students for 21st century challenges. The value rubrics are based on these 4 essential learning outcomes. Essential learning outcome number 1 is the knowledge of human cultures and the physical and natural world. This outcome is accomplished through study in the sciences and mathematics, social sciences, humanities, histories, languages, and the arts. It is focused on engagement with big questions, both contemporary and enduring. Essential learning outcome number 2 is intellectual and practical skills, including inquiry and analysis, critical and creative thinking, written and oral communication, quantitative literacy, information literacy, and teamwork and problem solving. It is practiced extensively across the curriculum in the context of progressively more challenging problems, projects, and standards for performance. Essential learning outcome number 3 is personal and social responsibility. This includes civic knowledge and engagement, both local and global, intercultural knowledge and competence, ethical reasoning and action, foundations and skills for lifelong learning. It is anchored through active involvement with diverse communities and real-world challenges. Essential learning outcome number 4 is integrative and applied learning. This includes synthesis and advanced accomplishment across general and specialized studies. is demonstrated through the application of knowledge, skills, and responsibilities to new settings and complex problems. And here are the 16 value rubrics. Don't be scared or overwhelmed like the Cowardly Lion. It may look like a lot, but there's a variety of options for you to choose from that can best fit with what you're looking for. As you can see, the value rubrics are divided into 3 broad categories: intellectual and practical skills, personal and social responsibility, and integrative and applied learning. Under intellectual and practical skills, there's inquiry and analysis, critical thinking, creative thinking, written communication, oral communication, reading, quantitative literacy, information literacy, teamwork, and problem solving. Under personal and social responsibility, there's civic knowledge and engagement, both local and global, intercultural knowledge and competence, ethical reasoning, foundations and skills for lifelong learning, and global learning. And under integrative and applied learning, there's integrative and applied learning. The Wicked Witch may try to deter you from using the value rubrics, but each rubric has a lot of information that comes along with it. Each rubric has a definition, framing, language, glossary, rubric with levels 1 through 4, 1 being benchmark, 2 and 3 milestones, and 4 capstone. Now that we've covered some basic information about the value rubrics, let's take a closer look at how the rubrics can be used. The Scarecrow is impressed with the different things we can look at to consider the rubrics. We can look at department mission and values, student learning outcomes or other outcomes, or class or program activities and projects. A curriculum map is a great way to determine which of the value rubrics to use. So you can consider your mission, values, learning outcomes, projects, or activities, and you can put across the top any number of the 16 value rubrics. This is just an example with 4 of them: critical thinking, written communication, problem solving, and ethical reasoning. So let's start with the mission first. You may think that your mission fits in well with the rubrics of critical thinking and ethical reasoning. Your values, critical thinking, and problem solving. Learning outcomes, of which there could be many, you decide best fit under critical thinking and problem solving. You're doing a number of projects in class that could fit well here. Drug response experiment fits well under critical thinking, lab reports under written communication, the cell growth lab under problem solving, and both labs could fit under ethical reasoning. The class will also be doing several activities that may fit here. Fieldwork could fit under problem solving, and service project could fit under ethical reasoning. This is just an example of a mapping that you could do. You could add more detail. Instead of putting the check marks, you could put comments that relate to the mission or values or learning outcomes, etc. This is an example of a biology class that is deciding to use one of the value rubrics. The student learning outcome is designing an experiment to test a drug response using the cells that were grown in class. So there's several options for the rubrics they could use. They could use inquiry and analysis, critical thinking. Written communication would be another option, and oral communication. They decide to go with inquiry and analysis. So let's take a look at this a little more in depth. Here's a look at the inquiry and analysis rubric. Across the top is the levels 1 through 4, 1 being the benchmark, 2 and 3 being milestones, and 4 being the capstone. In the left-hand column is each area that will be considered. There's topic selection, existing knowledge, research and or views, design process, analysis, conclusions, and limitations and implications. We're going to look at this a little bit further. Specifically, we'll look at each column and the capstone level, and then we'll also look at design process in levels 4, 3, 2, and 1. This is an example of a capstone descriptions that go with each corresponding topic on the left. When using the rubric, you could choose 1, 2, 3, or 4 for each of the categories listed on the left. This is just to show an example of what the capstone or exemplary categories might look like. And this is an example of the design process category and each of the corresponding levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, benchmark, milestones, capstone. As you can see, benchmark number 1 says inquiry design demonstrates a misunderstanding of the methodology or theoretical framework. 2, states critical elements of the methodology or theoretical framework are missing, incorrectly developed, or unfocused. 3. Critical elements of the methodology or theoretical framework are appropriately developed, however, more subtle elements are ignored or unaccounted for. And 4. All elements of the methodology or theoretical framework are skillfully developed. Appropriate methodology or theoretical frameworks may be synthesized from across disciplines or from relevant subdisciplines. Let's take a look at another example. In this case, student activities has a learning outcome of students will work together as a small group as they plan and implement the upcoming campus event. There are several different value rubrics that they could use for this. One is creative thinking. Another option would be teamwork, the problem-solving rubric, or the civic knowledge and engagement, both local and global. They decided to look at the teamwork rubric. And here's the teamwork rubric. We'll look at this a little more in depth. I know it's very small, but the columns on the left-hand side are contributes to team meetings, facilitates the contributions of team members, individual contributions outside of team meetings, fosters constructive team climate, and responds to conflict. And then the levels across the same are at the top on all the rubrics. So there's 4, capstone, 3 and 2 are milestones, and 1 is benchmark. So we'll take a closer look at the capstone categories, and then also the first category, contributes to team meetings. We'll look at both of these a little more in depth. Let's take a closer look at the capstone categories for each of the sections. The sections on the left are contributes to team meetings, facilitates the contributions of team members, individual contributions outside of team meetings, fosters constructive team climate, and responds to conflict. Each of the item descriptions under the capstone is an exemplary description of what a student might exhibit. Now let's look a little more in depth at one of the categories, contributes to team meetings. As you can see, the descriptions for each category are listed. 1. Benchmark says shares ideas but does not advance the work of the group. 2. Offers new suggestions to advance the work of the group. 3. Offers alternative solutions or courses of action that build on the ideas of others. And 4. The capstone helps the team move forward by articulating the merits of alternative ideas or proposals. Many of the value rubrics indicate some of the best ways to use that rubric. Some rubrics focus on the process, and others are best suited for use with an end product. Student portfolios are great to use with rubrics, but there are many other options. You can use student papers, self-assessments, creative projects, direct observation of student behavior, students' own reflections of their work and activity, evaluation or feedback from students' peers, or evaluation by an outsider. All of the AAC&U value rubrics are available to download on their website. Individuals are welcome to reproduce the rubrics for use in the classroom on educational websites and in campus inter-institutional publications. Just be sure to credit the following statement. Thanks for traveling with us down the yellow brick road today. We hope you have gained some insight into the use of the AAC&U value rubrics, and we hope you might use them in your assessment in the future.
Follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick